The third season of FNRad is supported by the Boardroom Snowboard Shop and Wired Snowboards, both operating out of Vancouver and shipping to anywhere in North America. The Boardroom's a premium snowboard shop with so many brands I could never even begin to list them all. They offer a performance guarantee on everything they sell, a price guarantee, and extended warranties with every board they sell, I think, as well. And the boards they sell will include Wired Snowboards. Wired is a small company out of Vancouver run by Rob Dow, which makes high-quality, well-designed boards. I rode my Chase 162 this morning. I love days that I get to ride my powder board. It's the best. You can support both these companies by going to their websites, boardroomshop.com or wiredsnowboards.com. You can save 10% at checkout using our offer codes FNRad10 at the Boardroom Shop and FNRad at Wired Snowboards.
Welcome to Season 3 of the fucking Rad Snowboard Podcast.
Okay, perfect. 1 second, please.
Tala in ett meddelande efter tonen.
Hi, this is Sean. I'm not here right now.
You have reached Mike.
Hi, this is Jim. Leave me a message, and I will call you back as soon as I can.
Hi, you've reached Jeremy Jones.
Yeah, I'm going to call you back in 10. Sorry, dude.
Hey listeners, welcome back to the podcast. This week's guest is Mike Basich, who's had a 25-year career as a pro snowboarder on his own terms. Many of you will have seen his off-grid home in California featured in various snowboarding-related articles on the internet. The home features beautiful stonework, a thermal hot tub, a private chairlift, which will even eventually be powered by the river running through his property. And some of you will know he has a collection of incredible snowboarding shots he took as a photographer and rider, using remotes and fancy cameras. I saw his tiny home in the parking lot at Baker and tracked him down for a short conversation, which we initially agreed would be about 10 minutes long.
Earliest was probably, I was on Kemper in like 93.
Nice.
92.
That Kemper team was all time. Would they send you guys around? Hetzel's on the team. You and your sister.
Yeah.
Heine's on the team.
Yeah, Heini. Like there was some funny one. Like Smokin' Jay was on it for a while.
Yep.
Tom Burt, Billy Anderson.
Noah was on there for a while too.
Did
Noah predate you on Kemper, or was he there when you were there too?
No, he was there like the year after I was. And
after,
I remember entering the first contest he was in. He entered as a novice, and it was like he had a broken wrist from skating. Got boiled. We were both in the junior department.
So, are you younger than Tina?
Yeah, I'm three years younger than Tina.
So you were ahead of the game at getting started at that age, right?
I had a little, yeah.
That's rad.
Young, and I was luckily I had my sister to like help me travel the world, at such a young age as well.
Man, how old would you have been on the Kemper team?
That lasted 4 years.
That's rad.
And when I signed with Hooger Booger was kind of my big movement.
You had a pro model on Hooger Booger before when they called it Hooger Booger.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's amazing.
That was a big shift in my what I was able to do because I made some good money from it, and so
rad.
Kemper was more like just freeloading it up.
What's the Hooger Booger story? Who are those guys? Who were they?
I heard Hooger Booger was someone's nickname.
Okay.
And it was a European company that Scott Europe bought, Scott Goggles.
Yep.
And they ran it as Hooger for a while.
Before they did the Scott boards themselves.
Scott was the distribution of it.
Yeah.
And then that's right when snowboarding became like, oh, this is actually a serious business. Mm-hmm. They were like, okay, we're going to make it Scott.
Yeah. Did you ride for Scott when they did that?
I did, yeah.
Remember the Radius board? I remember riding that and being like, this is insane. I think they put like a 6-meter side cut on like a 160, and you could just bow that board out and just like rock it. They came and did demos at our local hill, and I think I might have even rode one of those for a couple of months or something because I liked it. I bought in. Yeah. So you went from Hooger to that. I think, okay, so we'll start I think our levels are pretty good. It's going to be a little... I'm going to put it in front of you. You've got a softer voice. Perfect. If I have 10 minutes with Mike Basich, what am I going to ask him? It's going to be about the run of selfies and where did that idea come from. And I love that thing. The one out of the helicopter,
You like that one? A lot of people remember me as that shot.
And a lot of people don't know you took it. Like,
yeah, not it's definitely a unique one, and I mean that's part of why I dove into the whole project was to these ideas in my head. I wanted to capture them. Years of using other photographers was great, but I never captured what I truly wanted, how I wanted to present myself, or what was going on inside, emotionally. So I figured out how to do that with different remotes and soldering wires together, and I kind of did it with one image and the idea of the project. And after I did the first one, I was like, wow, there's actually a lot of room here to like be progressive. And it wasn't super like the cool thing, like, oh, he's taking a photo of himself.
I don't think selfie, the term, existed at that point, did it?
Not really, no. Which it was funny because the photos that ran in the magazine would say photographer Mike Basich, writer Mike Basich. I'm like,
yeah.
It kind of made sense if you thought about it a little bit, but it was something that took a couple years to kind of prove myself in some form, because it wasn't. I think the artistic side of the photographs is what kind of carried across as like more of a legit thing than just the idea like taking a selfie.
From my perspective as just a consumer of snowboarding stuff, it made it incredibly amazing to look at. Like, there's a point in snowboarding where you see behind the curtain a little bit and you're like, oh, the top snowboarders ride with the top photographers and that's how we get these images.
Right.
It's not just Jamie Lynn is just riding around and his friend Gil takes a photo, because we all know how crappy those photos go. Even guys like myself, I invested in a nice camera, got good lenses, kind of learned about aperture and shutter speed, and my shots were shit. They were terrible.
Well, mine weren't great either. Like, it took a lot of work. Half of the stuff I didn't turn out. Because like when I had my camera, I knew nothing about light aperture, like meters. I didn't know what that was. And I started getting into it more where, like, okay, I understand like how to make something in focus and the background out of focus. There's a beauty in me not knowing about photography, because I like approached it a little differently.
Totally.
And that was a fun part where I kind of I bent the rules a little bit. I did some weird stuff with cross processing and stuff. And I wasted a lot of not efforts, but I went out of my way a lot to do like one shot.
Sure. Yeah.
And with the weather, like, as it is, like when you hike a hill, I had to hike everything twice. You just
set up,
and
set
hike,
the shot,
then hike up the hill that you're going to do.
It's unbelievable.
And then by the time you're at the top, it's like the clouds roll in, the aperture's wrong, or the lens fogs up, or so a lot of times I'd push the button and it'd shoot the whole roll, so I wouldn't get the shot.
Oh, no.
But it was really fun what saved me in as far as like transferring my career out of competition was as a photographer. I mean, I wasn't really a photographer at that time, but I was able to pitch companies that didn't have a budget or didn't believe in like hiring, a rider that was already in their older age.
Yep.
Because everybody was focused on the 15-year-old.
Totally.
And so I was able to pitch myself as like, hey, if you don't have the budget for your riders, like, how about your photography budget?
Nice.
And they're like, oh, well, yeah, we have that, so we can pay you for a trip or something, or put you on a retainer. And so I was able to give them images of the riders I was already going to ride around with and shoot photos with.
Rad.
But at the same time, I was able to do my own career.
I love that. You've been inspiring to me in your ability to come up with these creative things that keep your career going. You were kind of being apologetic for the selfies thing, and I'm like, what? That was groundbreaking. It was crazy awesome. Like, I really enjoyed it, and I thought, that's super inventive. Yeah, and your house, like, so every time you're back on the radar, I'm like, oh, he's got this wicked house. Oh, he's got a fucking T-bar. He's got a chairlift at his house now. Oh, he's going to make it run from the river beside his... Come on, really? That's amazing. So, yeah, your career as a competitor was impressive. You went through the X Games circuit. Were you more big air? You weren't... Like, because I remember you competing half-pipe as a really young guy.
Yeah, the pipe was okay for 2 years.
Yep.
I did okay, and then I moved to Utah. I rode snowboard during the time I was competing in the half pipes, and I came in love more with backcountry, so I didn't focus too much on half pipe. And that's kind of the time when big air started coming into the game. So it was an easier thing to kind of make a career out of for a while, make some money. And it was fun. I got to travel a lot of places where there wasn't snow. Like they had these big kickers in the middle of London and like Amsterdam. Right. So that was fun, and it was kind of more my place where I was a little more friendly with the crowds, I guess you could say. So the people who put on the events liked my energy and invited me to a lot of different events because of that. And after the half pipe went into the big air, I kind of got into photography a little bit during the big air part, and everything that I've done after that has kind of been like, like you're saying, just I've tried to recreate a little something new. And I think that's kind of why I got into snowboarding in the first place, was because there's so fresh. There's a lot of new grounds to be
totally
put into stone and new ideas, and I'm still kind of chasing that, I guess you could say, to
it's incredible.
Reinvent new ideas and get creative. And my cabin and the lift, a lot of that has a lot to do with trying to create something unique for an experience that doesn't have to do with age. All right, it's timeless.
Absolutely.
Because that's kind of, I think all of us now in snowboarding, we're at an age now where we still want to do it. We still love riding and being, I love being part of the industry still, so you have to reinvent yourself in some ways to keep that new envelope being pushed. Because companies in the past, it took me a good 10 years before a company knew how to market what I do. And I wouldn't know either exactly. It's just, but because it takes a lot of energy, and it's kind of risky when everyone's just focused on the 15-year-old kid. And the Olympics was a big part when I quit. The Olympics started kicking in.
There's a big push on that. Snowboarding has had that since the beginning. This kind of who's going to be the next Shaun White, and especially people. I don't know exactly what the years were, but maybe around 2000, end of the 90s. Really hot, good riders that had accomplished a lot career-wise, especially in competition, started finding themselves without sponsors, abruptly.
I think what I saw, because I lived with a couple pro snowboarders in my years, and they come and gone, and I think the people that got involved in snowboarding, say 10 years, say mid-90s, was a lot to be I want to be a pro snowboarder. Anybody before that really didn't get into snowboarding to be a pro snowboarder, so they're kind of still doing it on some level. And the people that got into the heat of the industry when it was peaking, when it was gone, the interest was gone, or there's no pathway to understand how to go from there. And snowboarding is so young that there is no structure. This is what you do when you don't compete anymore. A lot of them became team managers and stuff, but that's not really a long-term job. But back to just being creative, there's so much room in snowboarding to be creative, and it kind of helps a lot when companies see your vision. But again, if you're trying to do something new, no one actually knows what it is yet. So
right. So how many times have you gone to a sponsor and said, "This is what I want to do," and they go, "Yeah"? Is that something that happens fairly frequently, that you're able to get these guys on board for? Your cabin is it's a personal thing, so you can't really go to a sponsor and say, "I want to build myself a house. How do you want to get involved in this?"
And
that's your company. That's 2 for 1.
That's 2 for 1. But the cabin was my personal side dream. In snowboarding, some people brought in their painting passions and crossed over into snowboarding. And I tried to do the same with that with my cabin. So cool. The cabin was my own personal funding project, but I'm trying to create a lifestyle that I want to promote. If I'm going to leave a mark in this world, I want to promote being in nature and being governed by nature. And as far as pitching companies to help different tiny home projects, today is just as hard as it was 20 years ago.
Even with your success in it, and you being the top of the game, and
it's still takes a lot of work. It's very emotional. I get burnt out here and there, and you know what? I could go work for a month, and it'll probably be less energy than all the phone calls, all the harassing people.
Right.
And so there's a borderline of how much do I want to be involved in like industry feeling part. There's certain people that could get me connected with, say, a car company to get a car to do a car conversion, but I don't have those channels, which I would love to if I get a car tire company to support
that would
project.
be sick.
Like, because I have a lot of dreams.
Yeah.
The projects I want to do, but it's I'm a one-man show. I tried to have an agent about a year ago. First agent I've ever had in my whole career. Didn't work so well, and I think part of it because I can't explain myself completely what I'm going to do. I've had some people here and there like give me some money, like I don't know what you're going to do, but whatever it is, like I want to support it.
We're in.
This is what we can do right now.
Cool.
And we'll talk after 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of people like already replying before they even hear what the whole story is, and that I learned that in the photography part where the team managers like will start saying like on autopilot like, no, we don't have any budget, we're not bringing it down. I'm like, well, can I just pay you? Can I pay you if I ride you? Like there's throwing out bullshit ideas, and it just you realize, okay, I'm not the cool person like that they're all looking for.
Whether that's the cool person or the hot flavor of marketing thing that you can, it's always these weird things. Like when I think back on step-in bindings, right? And they're making a resurgence, but remember how big of a deal that was? Like if you came to somebody in 96 and said, we've got a step-in binding, they would just throw money at you. Even though this is an idea that's going to just fizzle out. There's always this striving for like, what are we going to sell at the shop level next year? It's got to be new. It's got to be hot. We got to be on it. And you owned a shop, or you own a shop?
I had a shop in the past, and it didn't last very long.
Was that because I remember my first real exposure to you and the lifestyle thing that you'd chosen was 100 Words for Snow, and there was a long sequence of you packing up the shop, putting your sled in your truck, and driving up the Alaska Highway, right?
Right.
I love that.
Yeah, that was a shop where I left. The beginning of that intro was my shop, and I did it with a partner that I didn't know very well, but he ran into the ground. But it was actually a really beautiful experience because I have a clothing company, now, so I know what it's like for a store.
Yeah.
So I'm able to flex on payment terms when I can, and I do even if they don't ask, just because I know it's
very cool.
It's very beneficial. And same with just the way the winter works. If it doesn't snow, it's like, shit, I better get product moved to a different location or get creative with it.
And do you ship your stuff yourself? Like, are you a one-man show with that, or is that a company that you're at the helm of?
The level I'm at with the U.S. is just me, but I'm lucky enough, the people I work with in Japan, which is my main market, and that happened because I won a contest years ago, and I work with a company that has beautiful factories in Japan, so we make high-end outerwear, and I can still snowboard and not have to be a business person all day.
Wonderful.
So it's a great place. But for the U.S., it's a lot of shops like me showing up with a tiny house. It's like more personal. It's different than like some Burton rep showing up, and like it's just autopilot thing. So I'm trying to keep that flavor, and I hope it always stays there. Like just something more personal.
And hope that it doesn't burn you out doing the trip. Like if you enjoy doing it, that's the bonus.
Yeah, and I think like if it's a snowboard career or a clothing company or anything, it's like it survives through the downtimes.
Yeah.
When you have that drive.
That's it.
It's like I love it. I want to do it, even if I have to sleep in a tent.
Right.
It's like
because people see you and go, okay. At the X Games, you're winning. You're holding up a giant check, and they go, "Oh, that's why he's doing it, because look at all that money." But then 3 years later, when you're just snowboarding and taking a picture of yourself, they're like, "Oh, wait, he's doing it for something other than that." Right?
Yeah. My photography was a unique one because I had no sponsors during that time, and I took all the money that I did make from competitions, and like I just believed in like there's something here to like have fun with.
Invested in yourself. That's so dope, dude. That's my favorite thing. I remember Terry Kidwell came up to the shop to promote the Vancouver Olympics 2010. There wasn't much nostalgia going on in the industry, but he brought up these beautiful boards, his personal collection of Sims from back in the day. And I remember asking him, like, so what do you do now in the snowboard industry? He's like, I work at a gas station, dude.
Right.
And I was like, our hero of heroes, our legend of legends, our number one freestyle, the absolute undisputed father of freestyle, isn't supported by snowboard companies right now? What is that? It seems like that era might be over.
Yeah, all the different steps I've taken, and I've learned so much, different phases and how to work with people in the magazine industry and marketing, like how to promote myself. And I'm left with a great deal of knowledge. And I mean, we're only here for so many years. It's like it's a short blink of an eye. Have some fun. Like, if you got to sleep in a tent for a while, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's like, all the other big stuff, I've tried it, the big stuff, and it doesn't really supply. Only for me, it didn't. Having fancy stuff. Like, I love having nice stuff, so I can get to the top of the mountain and be warm, but that stuff's out there in different ways.
Yeah, you can't buy a house that has this view. You have to build a house and bring it here.
Exactly.
What's a typical season for you look like now? You're doing your sales trip in your...
Yeah, I'll start off the season kind of getting a little bit ready with my cabin.
Yeah.
Just kind of maintenance, tidying up the place, trying to tune up the chairlift, snowcat.
How does that work, by the way? Like, is it at the point where it's run by the river, or you're still...
I'm still working. I got about 300 feet of pipe laid so far.
Yeah.
And I got another 1,000 feet to go.
Oh, wow.
And so probably by next summer I'll bet I'll have the line done.
Right.
Because there's so many projects to do there.
Yeah.
I have to kind of pick the ones that matter.
Do you have a bunch of friends that raise their hand and say, "Hey, call me whenever
the lift"? There's a lot of people that helped out with that. And,
right.
It was a really unique project. So a lot of people had fun, and we hillbillied it pretty hard. It was pretty sketchy. But I'll get ready for the winter, and usually work at my avid warehouse not far from my cabin that's below snow level, so that's kind of where I kind of have my welders and all that stuff. My brain kind of works in a way where I'll pick a project, build a new tiny house and get ready for the winter with that in some level. And this year I hit the road doing some trade shows and some photo shoot stuff, but this has been a year for me to focus pretty heavily on my clothing, just because it has everything's in line right now. I got all the ducks in a row. My quality's good, the pricing's right. The distribution's easy.
Delivery's on time.
Yeah, everything's just.
Factories
I got
are
the
dialed.
crew ready to go.
Who does your distribution up in Canada?
I do it out of the U.S.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Do you have a couple of big shops up there? Or are you
right now? I only have Evolution in Whistler.
Rad. Yeah, those guys are
super
good.
Stoked on them. But I'm here to advance on any way that I can.
I'll talk to a couple of people.
Yeah, that's how I kind of operate. Just meeting people, and I hit the road for 2 weeks and just visit stores. And social media is actually a beautiful tool to work with people.
It's really good.
I'm more just trying to hey, you're my audience. You're the people who are snowboarding and buying product. Where do you want it? Do you want it in your town?
Yep.
What's the store like? So I've met up some great shops that way.
It's perfect.
And, trying to just enter in a different way where I'm just helping the community. We're trying to build something together.
Yep.
And so that's almost over. In about a week, I'll tidy up all my deadlines for orders.
Yep.
And then I'll kind of put that to sleep, just because the production will start soon.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go home and get ready, my tiny house ready more. I got to build out a kitchen inside and get ready for Alaska.
Rad.
So I'll kind of prep for that.
How long do you spend in Alaska?
It varies on projects. This year I don't have exactly a project in mind,
right.
But I missed last year, and I realized how much I missed it.
Cool.
So I'm gonna just go up, and I'll probably stay a month this year, mostly of April.
Are you good friends with Jeremy Jones and the things that he's doing in the backcountry? Because there's a parallel between the two of you, just in as he's unplugging and he's getting out of the helicopters and walking into places that are in his mind better. I don't know, because I've never been either. I love helicopters. If I can go in a helicopter, I just love it. It's my favorite thing.
There's a difference in what we do and why, I think.
Okay.
Like Jeremy, I love what Jeremy does. I've known him for many years.
Yep.
For some reason, we don't ride a lot together. But he has, his brothers have a beautiful media company, like film company.
TGR, yeah.
And so Jones is able to like expand projects pretty far.
Yep.
You know, if he was going to split board his own camera gear and clothes, like, it's pretty hard.
Yep.
You know, so I personally can't do that as an individual.
Right.
So I kind of like choose the days, and yeah, if I need a helicopter or snowmobile, I'll join that. I like hiking, but if I can snowmobile more because all of us only have like 10 days out of the year that are like, the snow's good, the lighting's good, the conditions are good, like the terrain's good, the vibe's good, everything works. Like, yeah,
did you snowmobile up in Utah when you first moved there? Or was
I did. Yeah, it's actually where I bought my first sled, was out there. And
that zone, because it's so all the resorts are on this side, and then this stuff in the middle is just all sled access.
It's pretty fun.
Seems incredible.
Yeah, it's not super long stuff, but Utah is great for capturing film and stuff because it's Barbie angles and it's not huge AK. Like Alaska's amazing, but the bigger it is, it's really hard to shoot. And if it's too big, it's hard to understand it.
Right.
And that's like why a lot of films, they're nice to watch, but you don't see them a lot now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like mini golf's actually like works really good on film.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think about Travis and his whole thing with his Travis Rice with his?
Right. Yeah.
Because he's got a media machine that's just churning out stuff.
I'm stoked for Travis because he is one of the only ones out there that I know of that has the ability to do something different, and he's doing it different in a really big way. And he has the riding ability to make it, really like worthwhile doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to be involved in something like that, but I'm also just kind of like, I don't know, off on the side, doing something on the sideline always. And that's how I've always been like that.
Yeah, you kind of have your own thing, right? Like, so when you have your own thing, people just go, oh, he's got his own thing.
Yeah.
Right? I bet, yeah. But you're at that level that, you know, whatever project you get involved with, they're going to be psyched. People are hyped. I'm hyped to talk to you, man. I saw your tiny home in the parking lot, and I was like, yes, he's here. I knew it.
I was stoked to make it. I got lucky. Cliff Bar had a spot for me in the comp.
That's killer.
Yeah, I'll show up because this is not an easy contest to get in.
No, it is not. They say on the entry form, have you been denied entry before? How many times? I'm like, I think I'm up at 8 now.
Yeah.
Like I've applied 8 years in a row without.
Yeah, but just being here, it's like it's
pretty fun.
So fun.
It's pretty. Well, actually, being here and not being in the contest, I'm glad I didn't get in. I can't believe that first turn looks like it's
It's gnarly.
If you're goofy, you've got an advantage.
Right.
But the guy who's winning's regular, so go figure that out.
Right.
Unbelievable. I'm glad you made it to the finals. That's dope. That's really exciting.
Can't wait to see how tomorrow goes.
Yeah. And I think the weather's not supposed to hold, is it?
I think it's going to be snowing tomorrow, raining tomorrow.
Snow, yeah. It's supposed to snow. No, there's rain in the forecast too, isn't there?
This is Baker. It always comes and goes. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me, man.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to talk about that's...
Well, I like, as far as my own work, I like my work speaking for myself. And if it doesn't speak, then it doesn't speak.
That's rad. You've been really successful at what you're doing. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Is that as a snowboarder, you're super inspirational and
it's been fun. I have no complaints. It's not easy, and that's something I've learned that people don't understand a lot. It's like if something feels hard, they sometimes don't do it. But that's actually part of the main ingredients. It's like hiking a hill. It's like, if it's hard, it's really enjoy the run.
Yeah, man.
Life's designed to be hard. It's like not the easy route is not the answer always.
Oh, I gotta agree with you on that for sure.
Yeah, and I think if you see something that looks easy, that means that person mastered that.
Yeah, that is rad, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Super stoked to meet you.
FNRad shout out this week to my daughter Emma, who's taking aerospace engineering at Concordia University and absolutely crushing it. I'm leaving in 8 hours to visit her in Montreal, and we'll be there when this episode comes out. Special thanks to the Boardroom and Wired, and be sure to come back next week for another episode of the FNRad Snowboarding Podcast, brought to you by BR Productions.